The exterior looks pretty normal, typical house. Although as you get closer you will see that the walls have a slight undulating feel to them. Strawbale doesn't tend to be exactly straight.
Right.
So that was open. Awesome. I don't know what land prices are, and I imagine they're expensive. More so if you go into town. We bought 1/8 of an acre at $45,000 2 decades ago.
Why?
I was born and raised in the country, so it's a bit of a shock living in a place that's this high real estate.
Right. This is
so here you see a typical classic deep window wells, etc. In this case, we tore an old house down, built this in the same place, now using a lot of the old wood as whatever. In fact, we even used the old wood for things like wood, the door trim, etc.
And you have tile floors.
Tile floors with radiant in-floor heating. As you can tell, it's nice and warm in here.
It's very warm.
Which is one of the hallmarks of Strawbale.
The beams are pretty.
Yeah, again, all the old wood from the old house. In this room,
And it smells good.
yeah, you can smell the straw.
You can.
Yep.
But not in like a barn type of way, just a very pleasant, earthy smell.
Yes. Again, you kind of just got creative with some of the old wood. I don't know if we went overboard or not.
It's very pretty.
And ceilings are recycled wood.
So would you count this as it's not a remodel because you took the old house down.
Right.
It's a totally new house just with recycled from the old house some of the materials.
Correct, on some of the materials.
Okay. Yeah, it's really
And
nice.
again, you can see the curve of the Strawbales a lot more. Some people love it, some people hate it. You can make it straight, but you certainly don't need to.
And with my research, you can get somewhere between 30 and 50 in your R value because of the straw, correct?
I would put it somewhere around 40 to 45.
Which is really good.
It's much better. Not only is it a high R value, but something like an outlet. On a typical instruction, maybe 5 or 6 inches, the outlet goes halfway back, so you often have a thermal break behind each outlet. The same with studs. Every 16 to 24 inches, you have a thermal break where the wood goes from the exterior into the interior. None of that applies for Strawbale. You have a good 16 inches of pure insulation. So it's the R value, but it's also the fact that it doesn't allow for any real thermal breaks.
Right.
That makes for the efficiency.
It's beautiful too.
Yeah, it just happens. What else?
Can I look at the hidey hole?
Of course.
And a lot of people like to leave this in just to kind of prove, look, it really is Strawbale.
That is funny. I haven't seen this. It looks like someone made this for the owners.
Oh, a little picture book?
Of the 2 little pigs. In the Incredibles. Here's the old house. This is hilarious.
Oh, that's charming.
And a photo of the building during construction. And let's see how the the story has a happy ending. So every Strawbale house has to have a truth window.
Yeah.
That's what you see there.
Because it looks normal. It doesn't look out of place at all.
It doesn't. You can see the curves, of course.
So, how many square feet is this? And I don't know if you're willing to share the cost or like an average cost.
Sure. This is about 1,500 square feet with a whole bunch of porches and a double garage. The cost of this was probably around $130 a square foot. That does not count things like tearing the old house down and bringing utilities here. But that would be commensurate with what a typical custom-built house would be. There are some more expensive features. I'll show you, for example, the master bedroom. I've built as low as about 60 and as high as almost 500. It's just a huge range. And a lot of that is dependent on the finish details.
Right.
Or things like if you have 10, 12, 15 foot ceilings, obviously, it's going to cost more.
And it makes it feel a lot bigger.
It does, yeah.
Than what it is.
Yeah, so in this case you've got 10 foot ceilings here, 9 foot ceilings in the rest of the house. And that really does give a much more capacious view.
I think people will want to spend a lot of time in here because it feels very warm, but it feels very open.
Yeah.
At the same time.
And it has, they chose some good windows. Obviously has a beautiful view. You'll see the mountains once the leaves fall off.
Yeah, it smells really nice. Kind of has a sweet smell.
It does. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
I have unfortunately seen houses that have not been built very well, and you can immediately start smelling the mold.
Oh no.
So.
Well, and some people, I think a lot of people with the alternative housing community don't think of that. They don't think of, there's a reason you have these barriers. There's the reason you have the foundation so that the moisture can't wick up into the walls.
Exactly.
If you don't do the process right, you're just wasting time, money, and maybe ruining your health later down the road.
Yeah. No, I've seen some pretty awful stuff. One thing I like to do is install so-called solar tubes that you can see above the counter there. People love natural light. However, skylights tend to be extremely energy inefficient.
Well, don't they suck the heat right up into them in the winter?
These here?
A regular skylight?
Right. Well, I've got Strawbales in the walls, which is typically R40, R45. I put a minimum of R70, sometimes up to R90 in the ceilings. And that creates a super insulated house. Well, it just doesn't make sense in that super insulated ceiling to have a whole bunch of thermal holes.
Right.
So if you want natural light, I typically use the solar tubes. Let me show you the master bedroom and master bathroom. Again, recycled wood for the ceiling, and we just chose some matching flooring.
Very pretty. I love the texture of the walls. They're not flat.
They're not flat, that's for sure.
Do the lights work in here yet? I just realized that with the dark wood I'm getting... Ooh, it's not dark. It's got a little bit more red in it, doesn't it? Just a little bit.
It does.
And this is the master bath?
Master bath. One interesting feature is this shower.
Oh, the rock work is pretty.
It's very pretty.
So you have a good fan. Do you have any other like backup, please keep moisture out of our Strawbale walls that you in particular really feel strongly about?
Around something like a shower, which is in essence you're creating a jungle, just huge moisture areas, etc. I always waterproof it very carefully. I don't let the straw bales get anywhere close to that, to showers. Other than that, depends on the environment. New Mexico, of course, is a very dry place. You get anywhere from 4 to 9 inches of rain. I have built in North Carolina where you get a couple hundred inches.
Right.
And it's just an entirely different process.
Really? So choose location or educate yourself about your location so you know what other steps to take to keep your house safe.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So the owners designed it themselves? You designed it?
An architect, actually a draftsman, drew up the house, but basically the owners told them what they wanted. At that point, I jumped in with all of the technical structural details, helped design that, and then things like the shower, things like how to use the wood. That was a collaborative effort between the owners and myself. I can show you the porches.
It's amazing to me how a well-designed house can be very small.
Yeah.
And not feel very small. It feels large because those high ceilings, the different textures.
Yeah.
It makes a difference how you design it.
It really does.
And it doesn't change the space you have, it just changes the way the house feels.
Exactly. Yeah. If you come into town, and I'll show you a couple of really small houses, a few hundred square feet.
Ooh, I'd love to see them.
Feel very nice.
And the finish is pretty. Isn't that finish pretty? So is this an adobe finish or stucco, or what would you call this?
This would be stucco. I love adobe stucco, but the fact is that it just isn't as durable as cementitious. So this would be a much thicker stucco than the typical stuff. You get an old adobe house like that one over there. That's an old shed. It's probably 100.
Can we look? Is that on your property?
Oh yeah.
Can we look at it?
You wouldn't mind at all.
So with the old adobe, it would be more meant to be repaired every year, like the finish, or how long would usually that natural finish last?
Depends on what you add to it. Something like this was a nice overhang. You can see obviously it's wearing away, and it's earth. You can add lime plaster to it. You can of course add some horrible things like cement.
Right.
And then there's a variety of other things. I've experimented with choya juice.
Really?
Very complicated process, but it does waterproof it.
Really?
It's actually an awful process.
I bet it
You get
is.
spines all over your hand.
Oh. Something you try once and then not again.
Exactly. Yeah. Plus you have to age it. I would chop up the cactus, throw it into a 55-gallon drum, let it sit for a month, drain the water out, and then you use the water.
Wow.
The big problem is that the water is just full of spines.
Oh.
It's awful.
Oh. It sounds awful. Like working with liquid fiberglass.
Exactly. Except even worse.